archives. This behind one of the Manchester Wood Mount Equinox on that side, and into
This is my sister,
Grace Hoyt.
I was born in
by gunsmith John Dowd in Goshen, Connecticut. So he died in March. He was going to be buried, and luckily. Hey everybody, it's Shawn from Timestamp. I thought I'd reach out and just say hello to everybody in our audience, let you know that we're doing fine, and I hope everybody out there is doing well. We are closed down for the time being, but the work carries on. Bet some of you didn't know that we're actually located in the Manchester Community Library downstairs in the archives. This is actually a relationship with the library that goes back to the Mark Skinner days. Both the Mark Skinner Library and the Historical Society were basically formed and opened in 1897. So I thought I would come to the library today, and even though they're closed, we still do have access, and show you where the archives are. So when this passes, which it will, you'll be able to stop in and say hi sometimes. We're usually there on Fridays from 1 till 3, but also available on appointments. And in the meantime, I just thought I'd let you know when it does open back up, we have this great exhibition of Lester Farnham's photographs, hand-colored photographs, which he was a photographer that lived in Manchester Depot for early 1900s, 1920s, 30s, 40s, went out to California, came back now and again, and he would take hundreds and hundreds of photos, which we have in our collection, and hand-colored some of them. Up here is the very famous Robert Norman Rockwell, the print that Wendy donated to the Historical Society a number of years ago, and it's been hanging here ever since. What else do we have in the public spaces here? Up there is the Fritz Dillman mural, which we hung, I think it's 2 years ago now, with the great help of the East Dorset Fire Department. Just in time for everything to close down, I did hang up new photographs for the views of yesteryear. And down here we do have our cases. There's the Taj Mahal, which some of our older members might remember seeing on display at the Mark Skinner Library. It was a gift of Robert McQueen, who was a member of Aquanic, lived on Taconic. Deary Taylor had donated this copy of Loveland Munson's Early History of Manchester, which actually belonged to Judge Mark Skinner. And so we have a nice little ode to the Mark Skinner Library here, and then a little collection of souvenir plates. But what I really wanted to show you was the archive, so hold on just a minute. So we're located in the downstairs, in the basement. No sunlight. Sunlight is kind of the scourge of an archive. On the hallway down, you can see there's the elevator. When you get off the elevator, and you'd be right here. We have these wonderful frames which actually hung in the Harvest Inn. These were a gift of the Goopbeer family. Eric provided these. We had these cleaned up. Wendy Komar put in some new bill heads for us, which we provided, and some of the originals were there. And his dad had these hanging in the Harvest Inn, which is Mulligan's today. We have a few maps. Here's a couple wonderful Wallace Nutting pictures, hand-colored, from, I would say, probably 1915 or so, that Judy Livingston donated to us. Here's an Albert Smith hand-colored photo. Here's a photograph that we have. This is supposedly Peggy Beckwith taking off from the Manchester airport. You can see there's Mount Aeolus and Owl's Head, and the 1872 view of Manchester, and our Exceptional Service Award plaque, which hangs outside here, which needs to be updated with the 2019 candidates. And this was crafted by Ted Hopkins in his shop. Pretty nice work, Ted. And this is the archives. Over here, we have all the Manchester journals, all the hard copies which were saved. There's some flat files over here. This is where one of our volunteers, this is where Flo sits. She does all of our data input into Past Perfect. We're actually having a little trouble keeping up with her. She's so efficient. Some of you might remember the microfiche viewer, which this is how you would look at the journals when you were at Mark Skinner Library. There's another, actually an original copy of the lithograph that we saw out in the hallway from 1872, and that actually hung in the Hards Drugstore in Equinox Junior across from the resort back in the late 1800s and early 1900s. So you know, it's very quiet in here. It's usually pretty quiet, but just to give you a quick look down. So this long aisle we see here, this is where we keep all the photographs. We got the Company E, the regimental roster here. We have a lot of artifacts down this aisle, and then we have a lot of family collections down through here. A great shot of the Barnumville Golf, which came from Bob Madison's house. We got, oh, you see, we even have stuff like this. Here's Gideon Orsby's headstone, which was a timestamp episode a couple of years ago. A lot of the Mark Skinner Library collection is here. We have Dellwood collections down there, more family collections down there. The mirror, actually, that mirror came from Jim Comar. His sister Wendy donated that to us. I guess Jim worked for Kane's Flower Shop. See, we can do a little trick right there. Yeah, pretty cool. And those measuring tools around there, those are all Fred Nickel lights. We have quite a bit of Fred stuff. Actually, back there on the back wall, there's a cane hanging, and that was actually Fred's. A lot more artifacts down here. And here's all the history books. Some of you may remember in the Mark Skinner Library in the back, they had all the history books. Well, here they all are. It's kind of interesting. You know, a lot of these, we have some of Mark Skinner's, a lot of the great Manchester families, because all those books were originally donated. They didn't go on Amazon to buy the books. Here's kind of a neat little thing I can show you. It's a pair of skis. And you'll have to apologize. I'm doing this with just my phone. You know, the usual producer isn't here with me, but I'm going to read you the tag. And the tag says, Manchester made skis presented by Howard Wilson, made from a log cut on Equinox in 1909. Patterson debarked the log, sawed it at Hicks Mill. Hicks Mill was actually down by the Manchester Center Post Office. Tom Raby's blacksmith shaped them. Herb King Steam Laundry bent them. King Steam Laundry was actually where Kilburn's is today. Let's see, who is this? George Lugene did the leather work. Leather said to be from the last hide in the old tannery. And of course, the tannery was where Factory Point Green is today. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well out there and enjoyed this little check-in. And I can't wait until life returns to normal, which it will, you know, and we're able to produce a little more professional version of Timestamp, perhaps. Anyway, till next time. See ya.